I'd like to welcome everyone to the Public Works Property Sustainability Committee. We're being held on Tuesday, March 5th at 6:01 on my watch. We are holding this in the Village Hall as well as on Zoom. The Zoom link is top of the agenda, and there's also an audio call-in number as well. With that, we have a quorum. The agenda is properly posted, and we'll start with public appearances. So anybody from the public who would like to speak, please share your name, your address, your municipality, and hold your comments to no more than 3 minutes in case we have a lot of folks who would like to speak. So with that, I'll be quiet. I don't see anybody in the room, but anybody on Zoom that would like to speak. All right. Then we'll move on. Next up, then, discuss and consider the meeting minutes from January 2nd for the Public Works. Any questions, comments, edits in regards to the meeting minutes as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve them. Second.
All right, we have a motion second. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor then?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. Then we move down to new business. First up is to discuss and consider the Village Cottage Grove special events policy. So, Chief's on. I know he's already done it for LEC, so he's got it down. Chief?
Again, this is being brought forward for implementation. Again, the village's activities are increasing. It's a destination for gatherings and festivities, and this policy is being brought forward so that we can better prepare for such events and have the proper resources ready and available, and make sure that inspections are done when they need to be done for the various events that take place within the village.
All right, any questions for Chief or any questions about the policy or the form? All right, if there is no discussion, then this is a discuss and consider.
Sorry, question. And
Yes.
do we have nothing as a special event policy now, or are we amending it?
Nothing like this. There was, you want to exceed the noise level for a block party, there was a form for that, for instance. There's one for alcohol, for instance, but nothing this extensive, nothing that would kind of collectively reach out to all the various entities that would need to know about it, police, fire, et cetera.
So it's grabbing everything and put it under one roof. Are there any new restrictions versus from the individual pack or the individual requests or anything? Or are we just grabbing everything and put it under one roof? Or is there anything, again, anything changes?
Well, there are some changes, but it's mostly because they're additions. You know, we need to get communication to the police department, communication to Public Works, et cetera, depending on what the event is.
Any extra, I know there's permits that have to be required. I'm asking is because there any extra awareness that needs to go out for people about the permitting process or any extra restrictions?
So I can touch on that related to the implementation of this policy. Should this be implemented by the village board, we'll use the remainder of 2024 for an educational period, and implementation won't go in until 1/1 of 25. So we can get everybody up to speed on what they'll need to do and how to prepare for it and make sure they're ready.
Does that address your question?
No, perfect, thank you.
Okay.
And with that, I'll make a motion to approve the special event packet ordinance as written.
Second. We have a motion and second then. Any other discussion? Having heard none, all those in favor then? Aye. Anybody opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Next then, we're going to talk about changing the date due to the April election for this meeting. We have some options for folks.
Well, the only thing I would say, in the past, before the merger of the committees, we could probably still keep it at a different location, but considering the size, I don't know if the village public works building is big enough.
You can always do a virtual one too. That's an option.
So part of that, I think that was added on is we'd also like to discuss the 24 streets and the improvements in the parking lots bids that come in. Those likely will not be in until, I believe it's, hold on, let me go back to the dates. It'd be April 10th, the way the bidding's kind of falling out. So it would have to be,
So even pushing it a week won't be enough.
so if we, yeah, we're almost like
2
2
weeks.
weeks if we can. Otherwise, we gotta wait a full month to kind of come back to this committee and then go to board.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
don't want to, we
We're
don't want
delaying the contractors starting, like a month there when they really don't have to.
I mean, it is spring and winter right now, but
Right.
it could be winter then.
It could be winter then, but they're gonna wanna get going potentially.
What if we go to the 10th, is that not enough time to get it put together and discuss it that evening? I mean, are they due the 10th?
We could have them do the 10th.
I mean, then it would be a week and a day
It'll be a week and a day.
after our,
We, 10th might be tricky. We'll have utility and plan.
Right, that was the other thing, is it lands on utility and plan. Is it the day after on the 11th? Or is,
Should be good.
do we not wanna move to potentially a Thursday?
There are no other village board committee meetings on the 11th, so this room would be available.
So the plan is to open the bids on April 10th. So yes, if we could, like you said, though, it's a pretty busy night already, April 10th, right?
Yeah, we could do a 4 o'clock meeting or tentatively like a 9 PM. Or we could look for another day. It's tricky on that Wednesday's a tough one.
The board meeting for that approval, assuming that it would go to the board, then that would,
Ooh, yeah, we'd want,
that
because
wouldn't
we'll
be
have the 15th.
until the 6th of May, correct? If I'm looking at that right, Lisa? Because we
Yeah.
would already have our second board meeting the 15th.
Correct.
So it was
So
proven.
can we make the 11th work, seems to be the question.
it works for me. I mean,
Then we get grace on getting it to the packet. We get till Friday morning.
We'll talk about that.
So the bids wouldn't be in the packet.
They will
right?
be.
They would be,
They-
yeah. Because we could
Well,
get,
me and John will smooth talk Lisa, assuming we meet on the 11th.
We can make
Yes,
that
they'll
work.
make it for the board on the
the afternoon
15th.
and the 10th, we could get you the stuff that you needed to put into the packet for the 11th then, right?
Even if you needed if we had it by noon on Friday, we can make that work. If you need extra time to get your information.
Well, the problem would be that we're getting all the information the 10th. And the meeting's
For
the
this,
Oh, I'm
11th.
sorry,
it
the
doesn't need to
meeting
be,
was-
for this committee, it'll just have to come when you get it.
Yes,
But
Right,
for the
but
board, we'll get it.
yes. It'll all be ready then, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't realize how April laid out, so yeah, we need to try and make the 11th work.
Nick, Chris, any?
I'm gonna be virtual, but I think it works.
Okay, so we'd have a quorum. Somebody want to make that motion? It sounds like it's going to work for most, not all.
I'll make a motion to move our regularly scheduled April meeting from the 2nd to the 11th, 6 o'clock at Village Hall.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion second. Any further discussion? Having heard none, all's in favor then?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries. Then that just slides right into the next one, which is the 2024 street improvements, parking lot and improvements design. That's a lot of improvements in one little thing.
A lot of improvements. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the Public Works project. Here with me tonight is Tyler Wallen. I don't know if everybody knows Tyler. He's worked in the village in the past. Kyla no longer is with Strand, so Tyler is a person that him and I will be sharing responsibilities here. I'm trying to introduce him to all the committees and the board and planning and zoning as things come up. This is a perfect opportunity because he's basically worked on the 24 streets and lot design on a lot of this. So what we'd like to do tonight, we're close to bidding here in the next couple weeks. We want to walk through the improvements with this committee, just so everybody understands, here's what we're going to do. And if there's any questions or concerns or any other thoughts, we can still implement that. So we've been working with staff, John and staff so far on getting to where we are at this point. So I'm going to turn it over to Tyler. You can kind of walk us through it, Tyler.
Yep, thanks, Josh. I'm actually going to start sharing my screen here. I've got a couple things I want to show.
It's your first test, Tyler.
Yep.
There we go.
Okay.
All right.
You're good.
I just want to minimize this now.
If this is a picture you actually want to show us.
Yes.
Yeah, it
Yep.
is.
So this is,
Do we want to pull one of those closer, JJ?
yeah, so this is,
Yeah. Just
Thank you,
it'll be-
Chris.
It'll be a little bit easier that way.
okay, so as Josh mentioned, this is the 2024 streets and parking lot
Yep,
rebuild.
You're out of quarter.
The 2024 streets and parking lot rehabilitation project. So part of that is the streets. And on this overview, you can kind of see the streets highlighted in yellow there. It's essentially the Crawford plat and the original West Lawn plat, Oak Street that we didn't do 2 years ago, West Lawn Drive, Fox Circle, West Lawn Circle, Chestnut Crest, Terrace Ridge Drive, Crest Haven Drive, Crawford Drive north of Oak, as we did the southern half last year, and then Woodview Drive. So kind of this whole area you see in yellow. So the first thing we'll talk about is what we're doing to the roads. We're proposing a pulverize, reshape, and repave with 4 inches of asphalt, which was the same thing that we did last year. Here you see a typical section. So this is essentially looking at the road. You cut a slice through it. We have the existing curb and gutter. We're not planning on replacing that as a whole. It's more going to have spot replacements. You'll see this area down here is the existing gravel, existing base course. And then this hatched area here is the existing asphalt. So pulverizing is you grind it up, you chop it all up, and you mix it up with the base course. And then we're going to use that opportunity to kind of reshape it. And we're actually going to add a little bit of cross pitch to the road as well. That kind of helps out. John had requested that for drainage, and so we're going to increase the cross slope to about 3%. That's still going to result in some excess material, but we'll be able to use that to kind of reshape the road. It'll also involve adjusting some manhole castings, water valves, and this also gives us an opportunity to proof roll. So we'll be able to test the gravel as it sits, and maybe if any soft spots show up, we can take that opportunity to dig those out, put in some fresh gravel. Whereas like with a mill, you wouldn't be able to do that because you don't get all the way down to the gravel. So that's why we're going with the pulverize instead. In addition to that, we are proposing some sidewalk and curb ramp replacements. So this is just an example. This is at Fox Circle and West Lawn. The existing ramps there are, I would say, substandard by today's standards. So we're proposing to put in ramps that are cross more at a 90 degree. They put the pedestrian in line where they're supposed to go. And then eventually there'll be some spot sidewalk replacements. So if I go to the next sheet here, you can kind of see throughout the different streets. This is on Crawford Drive, for example. We'll just have little pieces of sidewalk here that get replaced. John helped us identify those. He went out and shot those with GPS, and we've been working together on determining what areas should be replaced. So it's more going to be as an as-needed basis. than kind of a clean sweep. But not all the roads do have sidewalks. Only Oak, West Lawn, Crawford, and Parkview, which we're just intersecting, have sidewalks. So we're gonna modernize the ramps, put them in per today's ADA standards. As also you can see on this sheet, there's some spots of curb and gutter we want to replace. Same thing, John helped us identify those. Cracked ones, you know, a lot of them have a crack going right down the flow line. So we want to address that as part of this project as well. And driveway replacements. You can see also on this page, there's some driveways that were either cracked or spalling or chipping. So we're gonna, if we're replacing the curb in front of it and the driveway is also bad, we're gonna take the opportunity to replace the driveway apron, because this does belong to the village. Everything from the sidewalk in is within the right of way. So that is something that, you know, the village does own that piece of concrete. So that's the streets portion. It's like I said, we're calling it a rehabilitation project. We're gonna repave and fix some concrete. So are there any questions on what we're doing as far as the streets?
Any traffic marking improvements at crosswalks that or are we leaving these as unmarked crosswalks?
John, did you want to speak on
Well,
that?
at this point, if they're not currently, you know, painted, we're kind of leaving them as normal crosswalks that aren't painted.
Okay.
Where there is like a primary spot, then most likely, well, they're already painted and we will, re-put those in an epoxy.
One other thing to note, Tyler brought up, or Ty talked about the curb, the sidewalk, the aprons. John did a great job, went out there and actually like kind of looked at all this stuff. But when we put out our bid, let's say we have 1,000 feet of curb we know we're gonna replace in this, we're gonna put some extra in there. You know, we're gonna give a little cushion, like we're gonna give 10-15% extra of like curb and sidewalk and driveway apron, so that if we're out there and we see another broken piece, we're not going, oh no, it's gonna cost more and it's gonna cost more. We're gonna have a little bit of contingency in the quantity, so we can kind of pick that up as we go, because you're not gonna get it all, and some might look a little different after this winter, right? Depending on what some plows might have done or what else. So there's gonna be a little contingency in the bid for that, to allow a little bit of flexibility when we're out there to pick and choose and kind of pull some other stuff out if we see that it's in bad shape. So, sorry, I just cut
Could
you
you
off.
put the like the subdivision plat
Yep.
back up for a second? Do we, we're not doing all of it at one time, I wouldn't think, or maybe we are. How is the traffic detours, that sort of thing, gonna take place?
Yeah, so we have there's been a couple different things we want to do to address that. So first of all, the concrete, you know, people's driveways, we talked with John about, we're trying to limit that to about 2 weeks, you know, 10 working days. People, from the time that the sidewalk and the driveway and the curb comes out to the time that it's drivable, we're gonna try to limit that to about, you know, 10 days, to try to limit the disturbance. Now, as far as the pulverizing, I don't think we have anything in the provisions
You know,
right
we
now.
talked about it a little
For,
bit,
can they do the whole plat, pulverize it, you know, and then as they go, because, yeah, then it would be in a gravel state, you know, it's not impassable, but it would definitely be in a gravel state, from that time. So we can write that into the provisions as well of, you
This
know,
is-
we wanna
No,
limit
go
that.
I guess however you do it, I mean, you'll do what you think is best, and just communicating this out to everybody so they understand. that
Sure.
Your
Yeah.
street will be under construction, or whatever the best way is and like, I agree, if you're just milling it and you can still get up and drive through
Right.
it. The only time is when you got your aprons tore up or gone.
Right.
And then I guess kind of more of a design question, Woodview is kind of the flatter, lower area.
Yep.
Everything else seems to be kind of a little bit more of an elevation. Would you put a bigger pitch on streets that have that flatter, kind of,
We're
Right.
proposing to increase the pitch on all the streets to 3%.
oh,
The cross pitch, that's what you're
yeah,
asking
yeah,
about?
right,
Yep,
yep, okay.
yep.
Is that something we're changing on all cross sections going forward, or is that just in these rehabs?
That's a good question.
For now, it's just in the rehabs, and what we find, what we find is after that, you know, 15, 20, 25-year mark, when these roads need to be replaced, by then we have a larger canopy, the trees are bigger, we don't get the sunshine that we got when that road was the first 15, 20 years of that life, and then that, there's, you know, we promote that cross slope to get that water to get off that road. Because our roads are, if we have a bad road, you can drive around and see it's where we have these nice big canopy trees and that water can't get off the road. It doesn't evaporate because of the sun. So it just kind of sits there, kind of finds a crack, goes in. So we try to, get a little bit more cross slope just to try to promote that water into that curb line.
Okay. I guess my one other comment in talking about scheduling, from a contractor's perspective as well as the village's perspective, I guess what I'd like to see is maybe you put in there something to the effect of within 10 working days of pulverizing the street, you at least get binder back on it. I mean, we want time to find soft spots and them to do the work properly, but you're right, you don't want them going to pulverize 100% of this and then coming back 3 weeks later to start paving the first street. And it's gonna be a disaster, and then you're gonna take on more moisture on that base course than what you wanna see. Plus, that way they could choose to phase their way through it, or they could choose to just hammer it out. Either way, it works for us as a village, right?
Yeah, I mean, were you thinking, Mike, I was thinking in my head, they're gonna try to do all the concrete work and then come back in, pulverize
I know that's what I would
pulverize
do.
the asphalt and then pave, right, is what I would hope they do.
Right.
We're gonna probably put a construction sequence in, as this is what we would like you to kind of follow, and then maybe we put some stops in there of like, hey, when you do this, you only have that much time, so it kind of forces them to go.
It kind of
that
forces
route,
them to
right?
assembly line it from one spot to another, and if something comes up and they stop, that's fine. They can stop for a week as long as they didn't go too far ahead on the pulverizing and aren't catching up on the paving.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, always the trick with this, and as you know especially, is the more kind of restrictions we put on these contractors, the more expensive this project gets. So within reason, you're absolutely
And
right.
I think that protects both. It allows them the flexibility to do it at their pace, but also doesn't, open us up to a bunch of issues with, gravel roads being open too long.
We did Crawford last summer, I think.
Yep.
That was, I thought, a different developer, probably the oldest development in town. Did we find we had to put in more, do you guys remember? Did we have to put in more base, or was it?
From what we had estimated and what the quantities that we had, we even had some undercut, like you said, where we had to undercut areas and put some base down. It came under even the bid costs, so we didn't use all of the quantity that we needed. It was actually held up pretty well. It was pretty good after that.
Is there much, if any, storm sewer work that needs to be done in terms of inlet adjustments or rehabs or even any kind of pipe for utilities?
Yeah, so there's a handful of inlets, I want to say like 4 or 5 that are getting full replacement. There's another half dozen or so that are getting just ring adjustment replacements. There is no pipe on the street portion, like actual pipe going in the ground. It's just rehabbing the inlets and replacing a couple
And I'm
inlets.
assuming we televised everything here to make sure we don't have any issues before we put a brand new lid on it all.
We didn't televise, but, my assumption, I guess it's strictly an assumption that it's in good shape, it's new enough where I don't really see any real issues. There's no obvious road, settlement because of pipe or anything like that.
Was it a storm sewer question or a sanitary question?
A little bit of everything, I guess. But you're right. I mean, with the age of certainly the west lawn and part of north lawn,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have concerns unless you've had issues in these areas in the past.
Yeah, the sanitary was televised.
Yeah,
not that
okay, that's
long
what I was
ago.
wondering. I
So
figured you would've done
That's
that.
pretty fresh.
Yeah.
But the storm wasn't televised.
Yep. But the sanitary, you had already gone through all that piece of it, okay.
I have 2 questions that are very different. And maybe you'll get this, I'm sorry if I'm jumping the gun. Where Woodview runs into the Governor Taylor Nature Park, what are we doing there? Is there any way we can make it more accessible, beautify it? I mean, right now it's just a runoff. This is our chance to do something about it. Or, I mean, not to say we have to do anything, to be honest, but can we?
We don't currently have anything planned for that dead end. I was gonna pull up Google
I was
here.
wondering if we should pull up Google, because I
I'm gonna
don't,
stop
in my
presenting
mind, I
for a
don't know
second.
exactly what that looks like there.
It's a very tight space. People park on the side of the road. There's one driveway on the south side that's makes it difficult because you don't want to block them in. But it's one of the main entrances if people drive there. There's no good parking spots. There's no curb and gutter on the entrance to the park. I can't remember if there's a sign up there that kind of prevents people from driving into it. Or if there's not, but,
You know, it's
There's
I
like,
don't know, I just,
like West Oak, you know, when we were doing stuff on Oak, Sean had us put a little kind of entry and stuff into that piece up there, but there was never any mention here specifically, but it's a good thought.
yeah.
Okay, that's just the end, okay. So it
Just kind of dead ends there and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Again, I don't know what the possibilities are.
Yeah.
Just wanted to bring it to people's attention of saying what can be done, because this would be the time to do it. Second question is, because we're doing West Oak, and this is maybe something you're gonna touch on, but is it the extension of the bike path along West Oak? Is that something we're considering?
That is not a part of this project, west of West Lawn.
West
Yeah.
Oak.
Yep, West Oak, west of West Lawn Drive, yeah. No, there's no bike path being put in here, it's just the sidewalk, if that's what you're asking on this portion. right
The existing sidewalk is staying.
here. Correct.
Yep.
Yep,
'Cause right now it dead ends right there, and the intersection with Cottage Grove Road is where it also picks up again, and we're missing that section.
We had talked about, when we were discussing West Oak,
Going up that easement, right?
of potentially something there someday.
Yep.
Yep, kind of through the natural area, be a future project, and/or just some signage and calling this a bike boulevard and doing something that way. I know there's lots of opinions about those, but when we talked about that piece of West Oak and that shrinking there and putting that path there, that even if nothing else happened, we could make this little stretch, because it's already signed at 15 miles an hour, designating it something, but
So I would just like to have a concrete idea of if that's the plan. If we have a different route, then I want to be dedicated to that route and not do anything here with West Oak. I mean,
no, I don't think, as a part of like bike and transportation, I don't think that the one we're referencing is a route that would replace this. I think ideally, if we're looking to keep off-street someday, that, yeah, extend, basically turning that sidewalk into trail and hooking up down on Cottage Grove Road makes the most sense, but
and we're not
It would-
interested in doing it with this project.
it was not a part of the thinking, and it'd be I'm guessing, a significant
Yeah,
cost.
because remember, you guys they took this to budget when you guys were budgeting for this, and there was a discussion whether there was gonna be sidewalk, you know, on all the other roads on one side, on both sides, and then that kind of all got, that all got pulled back from the budget because of the increase that was gonna put on it. There would be a cost, so you'd take it out, let's say on the west side of West Oak, right? You'd take out the sidewalk and replace it with a path. Those costs aren't in what we currently are showing today.
So then there was talk about a bike comprehensive plan before, and the idea behind that is that we would have a plan when we do these roads, or we do something like this, that it's already being planned for. It's something the village, I think, has incentivized or villagers want. This is disappointing that it wasn't even thought of, that is a possibility. And maybe it's budget reasons, and if it's cut because of budget, so be it. But, I mean,
I would say, and Josh, correct me if wrong, or Ty, conversion of that sidewalk with an asphalt path in a future project wouldn't necessarily have to happen as a part of this. Doesn't mean that when that bike ped plan is ultimately approved, or when projects are discussed and moved around each year, that this going ahead of it would hurt that, because that's essentially gonna be behind the curb,
Yeah.
smash the sidewalk, turn it into asphalt.
that's true.
So,
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't affect, we're not spending money on West Oak that we're gonna waste in the future, is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
There may be a little bit of spot replacement of sidewalk along the side that you might take out. But other than that, it's mostly the road. It's mostly the road pavement to bring that up to, the standards, because it has that lower pacer rating, so.
Could you just put it as an option for the bidding process? So the board would know what it costs, this committee would know what it costs? I don't know
The only
how,
problem is there's a fair amount of design that would go into
Oh.
it that
We
we're
didn't take
behind
any
the ball on
survey.
already.
that's what I was wondering.
Any
Thank you.
survey along there.
and I hope Cameron's not watching now, John, or we're gonna hear tires screeching, and he's gonna come in here and.
I mean,
It's
essentially,
good for his heart.
I mean, essentially, Mike, I mean, you could put it there to get a number and then try to kind of fit it there after the fact. I mean, you could put it there with, It's gonna be the back of the sidewalk. You're gonna probably
Well-
take all the trees out along that side. then,
And I
too.
guess my other comment to that is ultimately, is that the path out to BB, or is West Lawn Drive the path out to BB? Has that been studied and
Right,
discussed and
right.
really thought out? Because that's one of the reasons we stopped it at West Lawn, was we didn't know if it's gonna head further west,
Right.
or if the main line of West Lawn heading north towards Taylor Prairie becomes the actual bike thoroughfare for that area.
Yep. And I think it was those conversations that led me to just say, hey, Bike Boulevard's an easy way to, those are not ideal.
I mean,
I don't even like them
to me, what-
personally, but it's a way to,
To me,
Designate
West Lawn
out.
Drive, with its over-width pavement, similar to what Oak Street used to be, almost lends itself better to this project, to that type of a project, than continuing it down West Oak. But that's obviously something that has to be discussed, and significant engineering put into it.
Because you have a major crosswalk that has to be built in there,
Yep.
which is
Yeah.
a big deal. So either way, I don't think it's a discussion for here, but I would like to make a point of this committee to reassess the bike comprehensive plan this summer possibly. This was already talked about a little bit, but I would love a little more concrete plan that we all know what we're gonna do, where this bike path is headed in the future, whenever it happens, so that board members know this is where it's going, this is estimated cost, and we can plan for it.
yep.
No, I think we're good on that.
I'll take it.
Okay, so if there's nothing else on the streets, I'll move on to the parking lot portion. Move on here. Okay. So we're planning on doing some work at at 3 different village facilities on the parking lots. The first one I'll talk about is the Municipal Services Building, or the MSB, on Progress Drive. One of the things we're looking at doing is removing these 4 loading docks on the back of the building here, and then filling in the parking lot up to that level. So today, and I'll show you a picture here, there's a good 3 or 4 feet of height there that once those loading docks are removed, we would like that pavement surface to be level with the garage doors. So then John and everyone else, staff and the community, can use the steps and the door and the garage doors. So we're planning on filling up with gravel and then paving up to that elevation of those different, those former loading docks, which will just become regular garage doors. Additionally, so this is what it looks like right now. John actually and his staff graciously removed one of the levelers, which is the thing that goes up and down inside the loading dock, and that's what it looks like. So we're proposing to take out those brackets and then pouring in concrete in there, and then it'll just kind of look like the floor inside the building.
And another big reason to fill all that up is, for the park access in the back and ADA access into the building from the backside, and the usability of that space. Right now, you can see the steps and you can see everything else, so, flush all that out, knock the stairs out, and use the pad that's, by the door, and then pave up to that, and just blend it out. The other half of that lot, it already is sloped like that. It's just this piece that you guys don't even use for loading docks that way anymore at all on the public works side.
Correct. Yeah, this is a little retaining wall right here to the east of that easternmost dock, and that would come out, and then we would kind of blend in the pavement to match the pavement that's already there to the east side of that, of that wall. Again, as far as the paving goes, outside of the areas where we're completely regrading, we're proposing a pulverizing and repave, so similar to what we're doing on the streets. Additionally, we show a bid alternate here. We're calling this bid alternate 1. This would be just to extend the limits of the paving, the pulverizing and repaving, further east, all the way out to the road there. Additionally, we're showing some storm sewer work in here. So right here, we're proposing like a sumped structure with that John and the staff could use to clean out village vehicles. And that would have a large sump that could be cleaned out. They could come with the vac truck and clean out the sediment and whatever ends up in there. And then ultimately it would discharge to the existing pond back here. We also show storm drains connecting to each of the roof drains to kind of help with icing and getting that water off the pavement and into a pipe. Ultimately, it's ultimately going to go here anyway. There's these 2 drainage aprons, but we're just trying to get it into a pipe to prevent that surface flow there instead. As far as fencing, the north fence will be staying per John's preference, and then the 2 east and western fences will be coming out in that back lot. That is all I have on this one. Is there any questions on the MSB parking lot rehab?
And why are we taking out the fencing on the sides? Just curious. It's damaged or?
Well, the west side has to come out because they gotta raise the grade for the new
Yep.
parking lot. And then, the thought process is eventually it's gotta come out, it'll come out anyways with any potential building that might happen over there. And to put it back in just for potentially a short time, you know. And the other side, the east side, that fence, you know, currently splits our shop kind of weirdly. You know, we have doors on both sides of this fence. It's difficult to kind of work around. There's a gate that we have to keep open for Rex people to
Yeah.
use. So it's kind of a
like a
narrow,
bottleneck.
kind of dangerous spot where it's hard to kind of see in and out of that fence, and there's cars kind of coming in and out. So we're trying to promote just like a better flow, because we have to allow residents in there. We kind of want to make it a little better for both Public Works, Parks, and rec people.
All right, thanks, John. I was thinking that, but I just want to make sure.
I think at one time, it was just meant for staff, right? So you had the gates and you could close it all up and you could lock the area. Now you never close that back,
Right.
that side gate, right?
Mhm.
Anybody can drive in at any time.
Mhm.
So do all of these costs get split up because it's used by, how does that work, the different departments? Parks and rec or how does that work?
No, it's a capital cost for
Yep.
the village for
Oh, okay.
this. Yeah. Comes with lots of zeros. All these parking lots, but they're all in horrible shape. And this is treacherous. I've got a family member that says their people have slipped on those steps, so
Yeah.
it's not good.
And that's the north side, and as you guys know, it doesn't see, like in the wintertime, it doesn't see any sun, so it's so icy and it's not a safe area back there. So we're trying to get it as safe as we can.
Any other questions on MSB? Okay. So the next village lot we're working on is right outside here, Village Hall. Again, we're proposing a pulverize and pave, as well as we'll have to restripe it. Obviously, the pavement will be gone. Oh, sure. Yep. So these are the limits here. We're also showing a driveway going out to Willow Run Street, so you'll have another access point into the parking lot, as well as removing those ugly red ADA domes that aren't really necessary for any ADA code. So we're gonna remove those, and then as well, we're gonna have to tie in those 2 sidewalks over here. They'll just have to be removed and replaced to match in with the new asphalt.
Yeah, not a lot of changes here, just as John mentioned, I mean, just pavement's in bad shape on a lot of these locations. There's a little bit of a drainage issue as you get to the far corner down here on the, as you're going over by the Stoddard's there, where your hand is, that we just want to make sure we get the water is kind of pooling in an area, just make sure we can drain this off so that the pavement holds up a little bit better. We should be able to pull that off. It's just needs to be graded a little different.
There's a reason the driveway doesn't go out to that street. I don't remember what it is,
It was
but
removed at one point.
the minute you put it in, somebody will remind you. I just don't remember why. If it was a neighboring complaint, I don't remember.
I was hoping you knew, or I see Larry's on, maybe he would remember. Anecdotally from Marty, I think it was just some neighbors didn't like it, and we got rid of it.
I think maybe that, it might have been people that live along the street at the time. I just know it was
For circulation, I know it was talked about when we were looking at this originally, like, it's, in and out off of Cottage Grove Road. Cottage Grove Road's getting busier too. And then just like elections and other big days, like circulation's much easier when you can provide another access, if possible, so. Yeah, but the reason they went out last time,
Has there been any thought given to sidewalk going to the parking lot on Cottage Grove Road? Speaking as someone who walks here a lot, when it's snowy and stuff, there's like no way to get here. It'll be easier with the thing up on the other road, but
right? So you're saying cross
cross
sometime over to the other side where the Authentics is, where there is a sidewalk, right?
Yeah, or like even if there was, I don't know, what does the Stoddards look like there? Do they have a sidewalk
go
there?
down to
Where does it ends on? Yeah.
It's there, but it doesn't extend. So like you're saying, do you extend it past the Stoddards frontage and then just to the corner of this lot and in, right? Somehow?
Yeah.
I don't know what it looks like outside of
Or
Stoddards.
even if like Stoddards is okay with it, just connecting those two parking lots. I don't know.
Yeah, anytime you connect two parking lots,
Not good.
the fun begins. But yes, I agree. That would be the easiest.
I see good things with his idea. If you, at least coming from the development on the other side of Cottage Grove Road, election was next month or is coming up. And it's a nice day, people are gonna wanna walk over and it's, yeah.
We should really do it at an intersection because that's where vehicles expect it. So if we were gonna cross them, does it cross now over to Authentics there? I should know that. It does, right? They put that in. We would have
Yeah,
required them to
understand.
do that,
There's
right?
a crosswalk here at East
Yep,
Oak.
yep. It would be nice from Oak then to get them on that side, right, adjacent to that.
Otherwise,
Otherwise, they're gonna have to go up and
around the block.
around, which nobody will wanna do, right? They'll wanna
Extra
short
steps, good for you. Count them up.
Yeah. I wish everybody shared that perspective. So are you suggesting potentially out of this group, try to extend something along what would be in the Cottage Grove right-of-way, not on, obviously, we probably should keep it within the right-of-way.
Yeah, you wouldn't put it on private property.
No, and then, cut into just the corner of the lot, doesn't need to travel all the way to what would be the driveway entrance of Village Hall, right?
Yeah.
We can look at that.
That one I would say is worth entertaining, having pedestrian access to Village Hall without having to go
Around the
around the
block.
block
Right.
is a reasonable expectation.
Yep. Good.
Okay. So any other questions or comments on Village Hall? Okay. And lastly is the Bonnie Road Public Works Facility. Again, we're looking at pulverizing and repaving the area right in front of the doors, as well as out to the road. And also, kind of a good neighbor practice where we're also showing a 12-foot strip kind of on the other side of this concrete valley gutter. It's in pretty bad shape, and since it's a shared driveway, so this is the village side here on the left. This is the other business here on the right, the south. We're showing, we're paving up to this, and then another basically paver width on the south side of this valley gutter here. The valley gutter itself, we're not showing coming out. We believe it's in fairly good condition, so we're going to leave that in place. Also, we have the salt shed here, and the village recently poured some concrete next to the salt shed, but as part of a DNR requirement, we're required to have concrete in front of a salt shed just for runoff and salt pollution. So this asphalt will be removed and replaced with concrete. And also we're showing, there's another loading dock here kind of that faces southeast of the building that doesn't get used as a loading dock right now. So we're proposing a similar solution as we're doing at MSB, is to fill that in up to the level of the driveway, and then it'll be another usable garage door.
Is that an alternate, that portion of it filling in that dock?
That,
Yes. Zoom in a
I
little
don't
bit.
believe we have that as an alternate right now. We have this this parking lot as an alternate.
We should probably put that as an alternate too, maybe.
The only reason I bring that up is unless we are serious about this being a building we keep forever, the value of having a 4-foot dock on a building you might want to sell in a business park is strong.
Okay.
To be able to pull down into it and have that dock door, you're saying?
Keeping it as a loading dock for potential future.
Yeah.
Or modifying it and keeping the walls and just filling the inside and paving it or something, you know,
So that it can
looking
be
at
dug
options.
back out?
Right. So that it's not completely abandoned and, I don't know. I haven't been part of those conversations, but it's something that jumps out at me.
Okay.
Right, at the municipal service building, it's a different situation. It's some place you're probably gonna be in a lot longer term. You're investing in that kind of portion here. There's always been maybe a question mark of, do you always stay here, right, if you somewhere else? Sure.
And then, one thing I would say, Ty, it's not necessarily a good neighbor practice in case the public has an issue with us paving on somebody else's private property. It's really to maintain the drainage, to make sure that
Yeah.
the new lot and the pavement we're putting in doesn't go to crap faster because the
Definitely.
drainage is not getting
Yeah.
overflow.
And if, you know, if you go there and you sit there for any period of time while people are dropping off, you know, I mean, when the few times I've been there, I sit there and I watch people in and out of there. They're not staying just on the village's portion either.
No.
They use the whole thing, so it's kind of like, man, there's a lot of traffic in and out of there that, and even swinging trucks sometimes out of the garage.
Even
You
John
can't
and
stay
your
on
guys
that.
are being as careful as you can, but you know you're
You
going
can't,
over across
right.
that when you're moving
Right.
around.
So it's not just because we're doing it because we want to do it. I mean, it's kind of being used
It
by
needs-
that whole facility and the drainage there. You don't want it, like you said, running up along that curb and getting underneath it because it's
You can
sunk
see what
low.
it's doing now, how much
Right.
it's settled next to that
Right.
curb, and it's doing the same thing on both
Yeah,
sides,
and
so.
they perform well as long as the asphalt next to them
It's
stays
up at-
maintained and
Right,
it stays
right.
up.
Right.
So it's definitely something we want to do with this project. So we did talk, Mike mentioned alternates. We do show another alternate on this site. This is that eastern parking lot. Doesn't get a whole lot of use. So the alternate would be to remove the eastern parking bays and just reseed them, and then kind of do a trade and then to pave this area just outside the western door here. It's kind of a spot that doesn't get used right now. I have a picture of it. This area right here. So to kind of connect this door with this pavement right here.
My only comment about that is however many square feet you're getting there to the front, make sure you're putting at least that much in the back if you can do that fair trade, because I know we'll use it, right, John? I mean, if you had it, it's gonna get utilized if it's hard surface rather than getting torn up all the
Yep.
time. And if we can, whatever square footage where you can give up, let's make sure we keep it.
Yep.
Well, I like this idea, you can store stuff and it's out of the public purview. And
Yeah, you kind of sneak it up
kinda
behind
put
there.
all your, whatever, your stuff.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what we have for Bonnie Road. Are there any other questions at the Bonnie Road facility? Okay. All right, so we can briefly talk about the costs. So the village has put together, different numbers kind of broken out for each. Zoom in another one?
Yeah, sorry.
For each kind of portion. At the level of the cost estimate we're at right now, we're showing the street improvements to come in about $206,000 under the village's budget. And collectively, the 3 parking lots are about 263 over the budget. So we're fairly close at this point. There is still contingency in all of those numbers. That is with all of the alternates estimated as well. So that could come down if the alternates are not selected, if we don't get good prices, things such as that. But that is the numbers don't necessarily drive up exactly, but as a whole, it's close to being balanced.
Yeah, it's pretty close. We'll look at, as in the next couple of weeks, look at the alternatives a little closer, make sure that maybe we have to put a little extra of something else in an alternative too, just to make sure that when it comes to the time to select, we don't really want to be over budget. We want to cautiously be there or close to it. if everything goes well, like Ty said, it's gonna balance out and we're gonna hopefully get most of, and all of this done. So the MSB building, the Village Hall building, and, well, the MSB and Bonnie, we're showing a little bit more than probably what was planned when Brian and JJ were kind of first taking some of this stuff off. And that's just because we're there, we're doing stuff, and that's why we're like, do we want to try to get more of it done? So we're just planning, if we have the funds, let's do it all. If we don't, we'll shrink it back, sort of thing.
Are there any other questions on the cost estimate? We can briefly talk about the schedule. We've kind of already touched on this with the next Public Works meeting, but this is our schedule going forward. We're looking to have the first advertisement to bid on March 27th, the second advertisement the following Wednesday, opening bids the Wednesday after that. This is no longer the 16th. We have now just changed that to the 11th. It will come in front of this body and then ultimately in front of the next village board, can award the apparent low bidder.
Which will be like the 18th or something?
Yes, so that will now.
Or the 15th of April, I think.
Correct. This will be.
Potentially April 15th, up in front of the board.
Yep. So that could even move the construction starting date a little earlier. However, we did kind of target this to be once after school is done. And we're kind of hoping that the whole project will be done before school starts again. I mean, we're putting those dates within the contract. One other milestone we'd like to meet was that this Village Hall parking lot be done before the 1st of August. I believe that was a request from somebody.
Is that right? Is that right, Lisa? Lisa, you knew there was a time of when you wanted this lot done, and I couldn't recall it specifically.
Yeah, because the primary will be on the 13th, and in-person absentee voting will happen 14 days prior, so that puts us right in that ballpark.
Yep.
Right.
It's reasonable to put some milestones in there that they've got to achieve. Plus that way too, if all of a sudden, weather-wise, whatever, there's an issue with the streets, you can always tell them that Bonnie and the municipal building could be done after that because it won't have an impact on school like
Correct.
the streets would.
Correct.
If there's some sort of thing we can't control during the summer.
Yep.
Yep. Well, that's what I have for this project. If there's anything else, just as the project as a whole or schedule or anything, otherwise, that's what I have.
Any questions for Tyler?
Oh, nice job. Thank you.
Yep. Lots going on, again, in the village. Then we move right to the engineer's report.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about the public works side of things. Really, there's not a whole lot else going on. There's some developer stuff, Shady Grove, we've talked about a couple times in the past. Those northern lots are getting subdivided so that they can be duplex lots. We had a new developer come in, so William Ryan Homes sold to Newman Companies, who is gonna sell the lots to Tim O'Brien to build on. So we are having just kind of exchanging of hands there. They're still working through a couple things on the plan, and then they wanna get going here this spring to kind of finish that up. Get asphalt shortly after that, and just kind of button it up there, which will be nice. West Lawn Estates, 5th edition, there's still some phases to be, have surface put on them, and then the phase 5 utility construction will kind of come in '24. We're working on a lift station right now with Hamburg and village staff, and we're trying to match that with the small lift station that was in Shady Grove so that they're somewhat compatible. And we also started with the developer there on that side too, to start kind of preliminary talks on the 6th edition actually, that will head west and out towards Bus Road. Heyday, they just came in with their general development plan again. That's just north of Shady Grove. And that will be going in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission in later March here. And then Alliant Energy, I don't know how much we talked about it at this committee, I can't recall, but they have been looking for a place, obviously, for quite a while in the village, a central location. Right now, they've just kind of proposed to potentially have a substation behind the Piggly Wiggly grocery store, and we're just kind of working with them a little bit on street access and getting a public facility that can kind of link them up through that private access piece. So pretty preliminary at this point, but some conversations. That's it, John. Any questions?
All right. Thanks, Josh. Then we already did the next item. We set the date for our no, not our next meeting. Yeah, we set our date for April 11th. Got that. Oh, I skipped John. See, it's new. I'm new at this, John. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
I'll make it short and sweet. So,
Okay.
just so you guys know, because you might get asked questions, we did add 6 stop signs. We will be adding six stop signs here very, very shortly. It's with the police request and kind of my request, where we have some uncontrolled intersections, kind of the last few in Cottage Grove, Parador, Chilean, and then over on Michelle and Molly. There was just a few that where it was kind of a free-for-all. And with North Windsor being as busy it is now, that the police asked that we stop control the last few. So that's kind of the project that, you know, maybe you guys would want to be aware of, just in case there's some questions. But otherwise, last night we did talk a little bit about the Glacier Drumlin lights, and next Public Works Committee meeting, we'll kind of try to hash out and try to get a game plan for the next village board meeting to come up with a plan of some sort to add some lights at that lot. I guess that's about it. I'll just keep it short.
Any plans for the stop signs as far as notifying people that are used to just flowing right through that, hey, there's a sign here now?
Yeah, so we will put orange flags up,
Yeah,
you know,
let 'em know.
and also to kind of help kind of give somebody an idea that there's something new there.
Okay. I figured so. Thanks, John. All right, so then now I'll slip back to where I was a moment ago. John was so succinct in getting his report through. So April 11th will be the next time we get together, and then future agenda items. Anything else to add that we need to talk about?
I know we brought up the bike pedestrian, or the bike routing was brought up. I don't know if that's something that in the next couple months we want to get back on the agenda to cover.
The bike ped plan is, and actually an application for Bike Friendly is a project that one of the UW students we're partnering with has been working on last semester and this spring semester. So yes, if not April, May, for sure,
That's fine.
her work will be coming back
We brought
for.
it up, so I want to make sure that we at least get it up in the next few months.
And I know we also talked about, associated with that, some potential grants too.
Yep. Hopefully.
Yeah.
And then I guess just talking about signage, we will want to, and maybe it's at the next meeting, but we're going to want to address our new dog parking lot, whatever we want to start calling that, with some sort of overnight parking restriction or something, because with Authentic's not allowing trailer parking there, that's just going to be a boat and trailer parking for them. So, not that that's their fault or anything, but we ultimately are going to need to come up, right, we're going to need to come up with some sort of a plan to address that, because that will be the next local kind of problem in that area.
Do we have an official opening then, once the grass really?
Nothing set yet. Sean and I are meeting with there was another university partnership that kind of designed what it could grow into someday. We have a meeting next week with their kind of final presentation. Not sure what Parks Committee's plan is
I can
for an
circle back.
opening, if it's just, you know, if the grass is just established, if that's enough to open it up, or I'm not really sure if there's anything formalized yet.
Okay. Just curious. All right, if there is no other future agenda items, then we'll move right to item 10.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Larry. Non-debatable, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks, everybody.
Sorry I was late getting on, John.